Hello guys, welcome to the Forex and Crypto live session. Now I'm just going to put the disclaimers in the 2 cents. There they are, the disclaimers in the top left hand corner. So please read them even if you need to pause the video to do so. Now today, it's been a little while since we've done a Forex session. So today, just to give an update as to what we'll do, we'll look at trades that we placed in the last session, which was back in the middle of May, and see what happened to them. Did they win? Did they lose? Did we cancel them? Did we get out early? How would we have managed them? We do that for a couple of reasons. One, for those of you that follow us and were in those last sessions, it gives you context to the trades that you might have followed, or you might not have placed, but you might have at least watched us place them and see what happened to them. But also for those of you where this might even be the first trading video you've ever watched, or the first of our videos you've ever watched, what it does is give you a little bit of insight into how we might manage trades and why we might do different things. So we'll look at trades that we placed last time, just a couple to go through. Then we will look at new trading opportunities and analyze them as we go, and I'll explain as we go. Now, a couple of places you can go if you need help. You've got my email address, which I'm not sure if you can see, you probably can see it better now, becky@tradictive.com. And there's also tradewithufos.com/Becky. So let me take you to that. It will be on here. Here we go. From this link, you can book one-on-one coaching with me if you'd like to. You can check out apps and courses and group coaching, see our live trading schedule, and you can log in here if you've got any of those things. If you scroll down, and we'll be filling this in for the first time today for Forex, where we'll be tracking the trades that we place live here, and then you can come back and look at them. So you don't necessarily have to watch the next video to get context on these trades. You'll see the notes and things in here. Now, if you scroll down a little bit further, you'll see more information on the monthly and yearly versions of the apps. You can look at monthly and yearly versions of Top, which is our platform. And you've got a question and answer section here as well. Loads of questions and answers. It may be that the question you have, the answer's already here, or if not, you can ask a new question and we'll answer it very quickly. You've also got a chat function as well. So lots of help and resources, lots of different things, all from the same place, which is tradewithufos.com/Becky, or you can email me if you need. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go and look at our trades from last time. So let me just get my little note here. So we had the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar, 4 hours on the left, 30 minutes on the right, back on the 18th of May. Now, as we can see what happened here, and if I zoom in to this one so we can see it a bit better, what happened is that price triggered exactly that time. We got into that trade straight away. By the end of the day, we'd already hit our safety target, but then it moved back against us and stopped us out. So what that means is we took half of our profit here, or half of our trade here at a profit, and we lost half of the trade there at a loss. So we won half, we lost half, break even. We didn't win, we didn't lose, we broke even. That's why we use the safety target. So if we're right a little bit, at least we don't lose. So that's what we got there, is a break-even trade for that one. Now, we also had pound New Zealand on FXCM. We were looking at it, and that was a 1 day on the left, a 55 on the right. Again, pound New Zealand. So let's squish this down so we can see what happened here. Looks like the same situation, but let's have a look. There we go, get in there. Okay, so this was again placed on the 15th of May. So it's, 18th of May. So let's go back to then to see what happened. This was a long trade, still in June. Still in June, let's squish it a bit. Okay, so as we can see here, price got in on the 19th of May, early hours. We would have been triggered into the trade. There would have been no reason to cancel it. Again, it moved up, hit our safety target by the morning of the 19th of May. Okay, let me make this bigger so we can see it. So here we got triggered 19th of May early hours, hit our safety target by 9 a.m. my time on that day, and then it moved against us and stopped us out. So we made half the trade, we lost half the trade, break even. So both of the trades we took last time, neither won nor lost. And I can prove the point as to why we use a safety target. So if our target was just the further one, then we would have lost both of those trades because it would have hit our stop. But because we took half of our trade at 1-to-1, it stops us from losing in a case where we're a little bit right, but not as right as we thought we would be. So it protects us. So overall, we wouldn't have interfered in any of those trades. We wouldn't have cancelled them or done anything early. We hit half our trade as a profit, hit half as a loss, break even on both. Okay, so now let's come and have a look at some new trading opportunities. So let's bring up TradeStation. So we use TradeStation to help us with our scans, to help us figure out where do we have probabilities lining up that are worth going to check out. It's not to say that just because TradeStation highlights these things that we will go and place those trades. They're just pointing us in the right direction to start with. We want trades that are near sensible. So those are these yellow boxes that say near sensible. Some of them say near hopeful, so we ignore those. We just want these yellow boxes that say near sensible. And also what we're looking for is that this box is either blue or red. If it's grey, we ignore that. So what that means is with this one, we can see in front of us that we have one opportunity here because we've got a near sensible long on the dollar Canadian 240-minute climate with a blue box. That's one opportunity there. One opportunity here, pound US dollar daily chart, near sensible short, red box. We have three opportunities here, 240-minute climates on the Aussie New Zealand, Euro pound and pound Canadian. Again, yellow boxes that say near sensible, blue boxes here. And we have two opportunities on a daily climate here as well. Two that say near sensible, yellow boxes, and blue boxes over on the left-hand side. So we've got a handful of opportunities to go and look at. I'd rather start with higher timeframes. So we're going to do that. I'm going to look through those. I've just remembered that I don't think I loaded MetaTrader today, so we might focus just on TradingView for these ones today. Apologies for that. We do have apps on MetaTrader, so if you use MetaTrader for Forex trading, the same apps that I'm about to show you that we're using on TradingView can also be used on MetaTrader. I just forgot to load it today, so we don't have that up. Okay, so Canadian yen, we will look at that first. So let's go and take a look at TradingView to take a look at that. So Canadian yen on a daily chart. Just wait for that to load. I'm going to look at Oanda data because the Oanda data will be very similar to the TradeStation data. So we're likely looking at the same thing. Daily on the left, 55-minute on the right. But what I will also do is I will filter through timeframes. So I'm going to look at, in this case, the 55 and the 60, just to look at two different opportunities. You could also look at maybe the 120 or the 30-minute if you wanted. You can move around timeframes on the right-hand side. I would say you don't want to have too many that you go through. It will become confusing. So I'm just going to use two today to filter through to see if we have an opportunity. We'll take the one that lines up best. The left-hand side, this is what tells us which style of trader we are. So if it's daily on the left, then we're a swing trader. We expect our trades to last a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks. If we had a 10-minute chart on the left, then we would be a very short-term intraday trader, expecting our trades to last a few minutes, maybe a few hours tops. If we had a weekly on the left or a monthly on the left, then we would be more longer-term swing trading, position trading, or investing. So this one stays static because we're using this to represent swing trading now. But the right-hand side is our entry time frame, and we can be a little bit more flexible with that. So let's take a look. We have a thick blue dot on our Auto Climate app. So again, if you were using MetaTrader and you have the Auto Climate app, which is a free app if you've got Auto UFOs, thick blue dot on MetaTrader would be the same as here, thick blue dot on TradingView. and that tells us we have probability to the upside on a daily chart. So probability to the upside tells us we want to look to buy. Now, where are we going to buy? This is where we use these guys, our UFOs. We have green ones, different shades, but still green. They show us where buyers are. We want to buy with buyers. If we were going to be selling, then we would be using the red UFOs. But in this case, we're not selling, so we won't. We will just use the green UFOs. Just checking here to see if we have any targets. We don't. Okay. Brilliant. So we have different UFOs here. Which one do we pick? It's going to be the one that coincides with this EMA value here. So the EMA value on the daily chart is 104.36, which falls within this UFO. Because this UFO goes from 104.574 to 104.218. So 104.35 now falls within that. That will be where we place our trade. Now, if I hadn't have found this on the 55, I'd have looked on the 60, but considering we've found it already, no need. We've got what we need on our preferred time frame. So the entry price is going to be 104.574, which comes from the top of the UFO. We're going to round it up to the closest pip, and then we're going to add a couple of pips for the spread. So it's 104.6. Now our stop loss is going to be 104.218. Because it's a sell order, we're going to round it down to the closest pip, so 21. Then we're going to give ourselves 5 pips of wiggle room here. So that takes us to 104.16. And that is now our entry and our stop. Now, our targets, we would usually place a further target based on sellers on the left-hand side, but we don't see any. So our second target is going to be a trailing stop. I'll explain that in a second. Our first target is always going to be a there we go. Second target is always going to be first target is always going to be a safety target 1-to-1 away. So the entry price is 104.6. The stop loss is 104.16. Our risk, we're going to put $50. $50 per side of the trade. Now, just to show you, if I undo that, the risk per lot or per mini lot here is $3.25. So that's the risk per lot. But we want to risk $50 in total, and it will work out for us how many lots that is. Our profit target is always 1-to-1 away for our safety target. So if it's 44 pips of risk, then it's 44 pips of reward, which takes us to 105.04. Thank you. And we're going to click buy. And there we go. First half of the trade is in. Second half of the trade, same entry is going to be 104.6. Same stop loss, it's remembered. Same risk, it's remembered. And we're just going to not take profit here. We're going to allow this to run and have a trailing stop. So what that means is, if price goes up in our favor, price comes in, enters into the trade, moves up in our favor, and creates a new green UFO, then we'll move our stop loss from here to behind the new UFO. So we'll trail our stop loss. So I'm just going to put a note here, and then we'll fill in together the spreadsheet that we're going to use so that you guys can track this after the fact as well. So placed on the 22nd of June, 2022, 2222, and we will put the time frames in. So it's 1 day, 55-minute, and target 2 is trailing, again just for our reference. Now let me bring up where we will log this trade. So this is the master version. So this is where I will go in and fill it in, and it will then be posted, and I'll show you in a second, on my link that you've got there in the bottom left-hand corner. So this is our first Forex trade that we're putting in here. So today is the 22nd of June 22. The pair is Canadian yen. Time frames, 1 day, 55-minute. Stance, in this case, we are going long. Our entry is 104.6. Our stop loss is 104.16. That works out, I haven't done this properly for Forex yet, but it will be as we said before, $3.25 per lot, but we did 2 halves of the trade. So it's actually going to be $6.50 per lot. You figure out how many lots you would use. Our safety target was actually 105.04. Final target is trailing. And the risk to reward, we don't know overall because we don't know what our trailing stop would be, but 1-to-1 is what we have at the moment. So now that I've entered that into our spreadsheet, let me show you. If we go back to tradewithufos.com/Becky and just refresh the page, I think it should show us in here once it loads. Brilliant. So now you can see that information in there. And as I come through and put in the outcome, what happened, the dates that it happened, whatever the profit or loss would have been per lot, the reward to risk outcome in the end, any extra notes, as this trade evolves, you will be able to see it from here and you can track it. So if you tried to update this, by the way, you could try, and it will tell you any changes made to the spreadsheet will not be saved to the original file. So you could make changes for yourself, add different things in there, copy, paste it, put it in your own spreadsheet, but it won't actually change the master version. So play about with it as you need. You can download it as well if you'd like. Okay, so that was our first trade of the day, Canadian yen. Let's now come back and see where we have another opportunity. Let's look at the euro pound here. So let's go back to Trading View and look at the euro pound, same time frames. It probably does that around it. Lovely. Okay, so thick blue dot, probability up. EMA line is 0.8578, which is unfortunately, I was going to say it's above this UFO. However, as price moves down, so too will the EMA, and it might coincide here actually, especially once we've added a little bit of wiggle room. So potentially this is what we'll use, but let's see if we have a better lineup with our 60-minute charts. We do not. It looked better there on a 55, slightly higher number there. So what we'll do is we'll place this trade, but with the caveat that the EMA is 0.8578 right now. We are anticipating that as price moves down, if price moves down, that the EMA will move with it and therefore coincide with this UFO. If that doesn't happen, if by the time price moves into this UFO, the EMA is not lining up, we would cancel the trade. But for now, we're going to anticipate that that is reasonably likely to happen. So our entry price will be 0.85692, which is the top number here. Round up to the closest pip, +2. Our stop loss, 0.85417, which is that number there. Round down to the closest pip, take off 5 for our wiggle room. So for the time being, we can see visually here that the EMA is not lining up with the UFO. However, as price falls, perhaps the EMA falls too, and it lines up together. If not, we cancel the trade. So let's just put a little note here, because we'll place this in a second, but let's do this now. And this is 1 day, 55 minutes. The time of placement, EMA not lining up. So we need to check in on that. Now, where would our second target be? In this case, we do have sell orders up here. So we'll use that for our second target, which will be 0.87955. Round down to the closest bit, 0.8795. So just before we hit the zealots. And our safety target will be 1-to-1 away. So 0.8572 is the entry. 0.8536 is the stop loss. Risk per lot here is 4.43. I'm going to put $50 of risk there and work out there what our safety target will be. So our safety target in this case is 0.8608. TradingView's done the maths for us, and we will place that in. Great. Same entry, 0.8572. Same stop loss for the second half of the trade. It will remember, same risk. And in this case, we're going to check take profit. Just type over this 0.8795. There we go. So that's gone in. We've got a note. Now let's put it on our spreadsheet. It's good to get into the habit of putting things like this on our spreadsheets and keeping track of what we're keeping track of. Ideally, what you're also keeping a note of is what went well, what went badly, what variables could have made it better or worse. So let me show you what I mean by that in a second. So euro pound, same time frames. We went long again. Our entry was 0.8572 versus 0.8536. Our risk per lot was 443 per lot on each side, so double it because we've got two sides of the trade. So that takes us to 886. Our safety target was 0.8608. Our final target was, can't see it on there, 0.8795. Risk to reward, I'll need to work that out separately because I need to put the calculations in here to do that for me or work it out separately. I won't waste time now doing that, but I'll update that and you'll have that on the notes. Again, let's just then check. We come back to tradewithufos.com/Becky, refresh the page, and you'll see the second bit. Oh, that second trade has gone in there. Again, easy for you to follow. Okay, so we have now placed two trades so far. What I'm going to do is come back here and see if we've still got some opportunities on a daily. Got pound dollar trade here. Now, something to bear in mind, of course, is that if you've placed a euro pound trade, and then you place a pound dollar trade, you are trading the pound twice. So if something crazy happens with the pound, something crazy happens in both of your trades. So be aware of it. It's not necessarily something we want to make a habit of, is doubling up too much on the currency pairs that we're looking at. Okay, thick red dot, probability down now, which means we're looking to sell. We have our EMA at 1.2278, which is within this first UFO. Now, these two UFOs are actually very close together, so we're going to bring them together. But what that might mean is that we end up without enough space to place the trade. Oh, no, we do. That's fine. We've got loads of space. Brilliant. Basically, if this was too close to this, then we wouldn't place the trade, but it's not, so we're good. So we are going short in this case, and our entry will be 1.22738, which is the first of those red numbers, and we're just going to round it down to the closest pip. Our stop loss is going to be 1.23246. Round up to the closest pip, which is 1.2325. Add 5 pips for wiggle room, add 2 pips for the spread, because it's a buy order. There we go. That is our entry and stop. Our target in this case, because we're going short, is going to be down at 1.19738, rounded up to the closest pip, plus 2 pips for the spread, because it's a buy order. There we go. So let's put this in. 1.2273 to 1.2332. That's $5.90 per lot. So if it's 59 there, then our safety target is going to be 1.2214. Great, so let's place that. Oh, $50 a risk. I do $50 a risk just as an example. Half of 100, it's a nice easy round number to use as an example. Obviously, you guys would be working it out for yourselves as to what you want to risk, what you feel comfortable to risk, not what I tell you to do. It's up to you again. This one, by the way, was a 5-to-1 if we hit the further target. But of course, we've got half our trade coming off at 1-to-1, so it balances out somewhere in between. Again, we'll work that out for the other side of the trade a little bit later. Let's put a little note in. Again, good to keep a note. So placed 22nd of June 2022. It was 1 day, 55 minutes. Nothing else to know for this trade. Everything lining up. Now let's put it in our spreadsheet. And I just remembered that I just forgot to expand on our tracking variables, which I'll just show you in a second. So this is pound US dollar, 1 day, 55 minutes. We're going short in this case. Entry of 1.2273. Stop loss of 1.2332. Safety target of, risk per lot, it was 590 doubled, so that will be 1180, I believe. I'll double check that and update this if I need to. Safety target 1.2214. Final target 1.1976. Reward to risk, we'll work that out in a bit. I will go through and add the calculations in here properly. At the moment, it's trying to calculate it as if it was stocks, because it's where I copied and pasted from. So it's not working out properly. So I'll go through and change those calculations so that it makes more sense. Okay, so what I was going to show you, and I'll just expand this very quickly. These are all things to keep a track of, to track how our trading's going and actually be able to get data as to every how many trades do we have a loss or a profit? What do we make when we're right? What do we lose when we're wrong? Is it overall working out for us? How many trades do we need to do to see that? Minimum of 30. You might want to do more. Now, with that, there are certain things. Timeframes helps us keep a track of what we're actually looking at. But what it also does is give us an idea as to what different timeframes might be working better for us. Gives us something to track so that we can filter and say, let's say over time this builds up and we have 55 minutes on the right or 60 minutes on the right. Over time, we can say, okay, let's filter just by the 60 minutes. How many won? How many lost? And how much do we make or lose? Now filter by 55 minutes. How many won? How many lost? What did we make or lose? And which of those is better? And is it better by enough for me to change my plan or my strategy? Or is it a little bit? In which case I'll keep doing what I'm doing. We can use this tracking over time, especially with back testing, to help us come up with better and better strategies that make more and more sense because it's based off of true data. Okay, so let's come back. And I think what we'll do now, before we go to the 2 40-minute climates, I'm going to go and take a look at some cryptocurrencies. Couldn't remember the name for it then. We're going to look at some cryptocurrencies, and we won't use our scans to do that because unfortunately we don't use scans for cryptos in that way. I'm going to use Coinbase just because it doesn't matter. Of course, you want to be using the exchanges that you're already looking at. And what I want to do is just come here and see if we have any opportunities just by looking and filtering through. Again, using the same time frames, but we'll move to a 60-minute chart if we need to. Now, for me, by the way, I personally believe, this might not be true for others, I personally believe that cryptos, because of the huge spread that it has compared to Forex or any other market, I would prefer to use really big time frames and give myself much more wiggle room. I wouldn't go any lower than a 55-minute chart on the right, and I wouldn't go any lower than a 1-day chart on the left, personally. So you'll never see me show crypto examples of less than that, just because I think it becomes more risky, and I'd rather not go and show those trades. Not to say, by the way, if you day trade cryptos and it's going well for you, keep doing it. Great. If you know people that day trade cryptos and it's going well for them, great. I'm not saying that it can't or that it doesn't. I'm just saying that for me, I see it as a bit too risky. So let's now take a look at Bitcoin. Now, I've looked at Bitcoin because it's obviously most well known, but the same strategy would apply to any crypto you want to look at because it's the same thing. Where do I have probabilities? Use an auto climate to help me, up, down, or nowhere. Therefore, what do I do? Buy, sell, or do nothing. And if I'm going to buy or sell, where do I buy or sell? With UFOs. That's it. So I'll show a couple of examples on cryptos if we can find examples. But even if I don't look at the cryptos that you would usually look at, same strategy applies, and you can use the apps in the same way. Okay, so we have thick red dot, probability down on a daily chart here. Now we are overextended to the downside. We can see that here for those that know. Try and move that if we can. Oh, there you go. There you go. For those that know what we mean by these stats, we are overextended to the downside here. But let's have a look. We've got our EMA at 21.5. It changes so much because of the nature of cryptos, but let's call it 21,500 roughly, between 21,500 and 21,550. 21,550. Again, it's going to change a lot quickly. Now that falls within this second UFO, this one here. Now with this one, we've got two overlapping, so we will take that. Again, if we didn't find anything on this time frame, we might choose to go and drop to a 60-minute, but there's no need, in my opinion, here. So our entry price is going to be 21,050. Again, I like to round with cryptos and give it a bit more wiggle room. So the stop loss, in theory, is based off of 21,711. Now, I personally would rather give that quite a bit of room, and I'm personally going to say I'm going to round it up to 21,800. And I personally, when it comes to cryptos, round it up to the next 100 just to give it a little bit more wiggle room. You could do it as a percentage of the ATR. You could do it as a set number for each one. Again, that's personal to me that I choose to do that. You might choose otherwise. The other good thing about this trade, by the way, it is within a daily set of sellers as well. So that helps. Our final target is going to be down here at 17,475. Again, you might round that up. I'm going to 17,500. Just nice big round numbers, really giving myself space here. What I prefer to do with cryptos. But the strategy is exactly the same. The decision-making process in terms of, do I buy or sell? Do I have an opportunity? Where do I take that opportunity? That is ideally what we're doing. So per Bitcoin, we would be risking $750. But we're going to risk $50 here, which is 0.0666 of a Bitcoin now. So we are going to take our profit as a safety target at the exact distance away. We'll put that in there. And then we'll place that trade. And the other half of the trade we'll put in now. 21.50 to, oh, it's already remembered. Brilliant. It's got our risk there as a slight, would have round down. And 17,500 is the final target. Okay. Let's place a little note. So placed 22nd of June 22. Again, it's really helpful to have these kind of notes because it allows us, when we come back and have a look, to easily see what happened when we placed it and track what happened and whether or not we won or lost or we would have cancelled it or whatever happens from there. Let's now bring this in and fill it in here. So this was Bitcoin versus the US dollar, 1 day 55. Again, we've used the same time frames mostly, or have used the same time frames today. It's 21,050 through to 21,800, which per lot or coin, I'll put that in there as a heading, was $750. So that's actually worked it out properly there. Safety target's worked it out properly because it's going off of the same kind of thing. Final target is 17,500, and therefore it's actually worked out for us that the reward to risk is 4.73 overall on our final target. Great. Okay, so that is 4 trades so far, 3 currency pairs based off of spot forex, 1 crypto. Let's have a look. We've got time to look at another crypto, and then we'll go back and see if we've got any more opportunities on our smaller time frames on spot forex. So with this, what I'm going to do, just as switch things up a little bit. We're going to have our 1 week on the left and we're going to have a 144 on the right. We'll switch between the 144 and a 4-hour chart. That's going to be the ones that I'm going to be looking at there. Now, what we'll look at as well is a different crypto. If anybody's watching live, I don't think we've got anybody active on the chat today. No, I haven't seen anything. I was going to say, if you're watching live, then let me know which crypto you want to look at. But let's have a look at Ethereum, because again, it's a very well known and it's what people will often trade. That's quite far away from its EMA on the weekly. Look at the daily. Okay, let's use the daily actually for this one, just because it's actually where we might have an opportunity. I wanted to use different timeframes just to mix it up a little bit, but if we're going to be putting ourselves in positions where we're placing trades for the sake of it, rather than because probabilities are on our side, I'd much rather be more tailored on our timeframes. So we have thick red dot, probability down, an EMA price of 1171.22, which is within this UFO here, which actually we've got 3 right on top of each other. That might be a problem. It's not. Okay, great. Again, if it was too big, then we might be in a position where we don't have room to take it to our profit target, but we do, so we're all good. So we're collecting these 3 UFOs together because they're overlapping each other. So we use them all together. Our entry price is going to be 1161. Again, I'm just going to round it down to that closest movement there. Our stop loss is 1257.04. I'm going to round that to 1300. No, sorry, I won't. That's for this one. That's too big. 1280. So we're just going to give it a nice round number, give it that wiggle room. Again, I'd rather with cryptos give them a lot of wiggle room because they are a lot more volatile than other markets most of the time, and they are also spread can stop you out easily. So just putting in everything here to find our safety target, which is going to be 1042. Our final target is down here at 755.90. I'm just going to round up to 756. Again, giving myself a little bit more wiggle room here. So first half of the trade going in, second half of the trade here. So we've got 2 short positions on cryptos at the moment, not surprising to anybody that's following them. Great thing about the markets is that we can capitalize on moves to the downside. How cool is that? So there we go. Let's put this in. Placed 22nd of June 22, 1 day 55 minute again. Again, as I said, I'd rather actually use bigger time frames on cryptos. It's just that we had an opportunity on this time frame that we didn't on the bigger ones. So have a look yourself at bigger time frames. Same strategy applies again. Do the exact same thing. Whatever time frames we're looking at, whatever markets we're looking at, we do the exact same thing every time. So you can apply this across using the apps to different things. Okay, so this is Ethereum, US dollar. In here, short 1161 to 1280. Work that out for us as the risk per coin. You are using 1 whole Ethereum's worth. Again, good thing about it is that you can pretty much use whatever percentage of it you want. 756 final target, and it's worked out a risk to reward of 340 for that second target there. Okay, so that is 5 trades in total now. It's giving me lots to keep on top of. Let's now come back to TradeStation and have a look at our 240-minute climates and see what opportunities we have. We are now left with 4 on our cross pairs and 2 on our dollar pairs. So let's look at as many as we can. Aussie US dollar, let's take a look. And this is a 240 on the left. So I'm going to look at a 30-minute on the right and also a 21-minute on the right. Aussie US dollar. I think we've got an existing trade on from way back, so I'm just going to delete that because we're starting again with our tracking anyway. Okay, so looks like we have an opportunity that we're going to want to get into now. So I'm just going to do this quickly then. I think they are overlapping each other. Yes, they are. Okay, so we have 0.6932 to 0.6973. Oh, will that work? Let's see. Might be a little bit too tight there in terms of room to take it to the. Oh, what did I just do? Don't want to print that. Cancel. Stop loss 796973, which means no, unfortunately we cannot take this trade because 1-to-1 is within this UFO, but it is within it. We need that 1-to-1 to be before that because our safety target is meant to protect us in case we're wrong, but still allowing us to take the trade to a reasonably decent profit. This means that our decent profit is going to be less than our safety target. So we won't place this trade. As much as the opportunity looks like it's there, it's not worth taking for a 1-to-1 in our opinion. So our next one, New Zealand dollar, probably going to look very similar. Of course, very correlated markets there. Bit more room on this one actually. Yeah, more room on this one. So this is the 30-minute. And again, where we have lots bundled together. Let's have a look at the 21-minute. Actually, we'd prefer to take that one if we can, providing the opportunity is there, which it is. We'll have a look here and we'll take that. Lovely. So the entry will be 0.6289. Stop loss will be 0.63. 4 plus 5, 19. Oh, no way. Actually be one bit more than that. 0.6320. Our closest buy orders, we don't see them actually on the chart on the left-hand side, which means it will be a trailing stop. So let's put this in. 0.6289 to 0.6320. Risk of $50 we want to make it. Put a little note. So placed 23rd or 22nd of June 22, 4 hours 30 minutes, and target 2 is going to be trailing. Okay, so that's one half of the trade in. Second half, same entry, same stop, same risk. Again, that's an example. We're just going to not take profit to allow this to be a trailing stop situation. So let's now put this on our spreadsheet. Bring that in. So again, I'll go through and format this a little bit better afterwards, but here we go. It was New Zealand dollar. It was a lot of dollar trades here, by the way, so bear that in mind. We don't want to be doubling up too much. 21-minute short, 0.6289 to 0.6320. And so this would be $3.10 per lot, but I'll format that better. Our safety target is 0.6258. Final target is trailing. We can't figure out a reward to risk on that yet. It's fine. It's trying, but it can't. Okay, so we've now put 6 trades on. Let me just bring this up and have a look here. We put 6 trades on today, which is a lot. We've looked at Currencies, so we've looked at the Canadian versus the Japanese yen, the euro pound, and the New Zealand dollar. 2 of them on swing trading timeframes, which is the daily versus the 55-minute, and 1 of them on a 4-hour on the left, 21-minute on the right, which is longer term day trade, shorter term swing trade. We've got longs and shorts. We've got cryptos that we've looked at, all on the 1-day and 55-minute charts. We've got our entries and stops, our risk per lot or coin, and again, I'll figure that out for the other ones in a second. In fact, in this case, we've got it here. So if I were to do it again, it would work it out to fill that in. 9, same stop loss. So per 1,000, $3.10. So that would be $6.20 a lot that you would be risking. Okay, just filling that in as I realized that we didn't have it. We've got a safety target information, final target information, where we're placing them. I'm going to format this and put the calculations in so that it works out our reward to risk ratio as well for the second target. I'll place that in there. And then all you guys need to do to track these and see what happens to them is go to tradewithufos.com/Becky, refresh the page, and you will see these trades in here. You'll be able to track them and keep up with what the outcomes are, how much it would have won or lost per lot, the reward to risk outcome, notes, things like that. Now, I'm going to add a caveat here to this. So, for example, the profit or loss per lot or per coin, bear in mind that per coin with cryptos, you're looking at a much greater risk than a per lot risk in spot Forex. So the losses will look a lot bigger, the profits will look a lot bigger. In fact, what I might try and do actually is find a more uniform way of putting these both on the same spreadsheet. But what we want to do here is essentially be able to track, if I were to be placing these trades that fit my trade plan, how would it be working for me? So you're not necessarily going to look at the entire spreadsheet because you're unlikely to be a person that might be trading spot Forex and Bitcoin and cryptos. You might be, but you might not use these timeframes. You might want to be going long where I'm going short because you're using a different time frame. You might be somebody that adds a little bit more wiggle room or gives it a little bit less wiggle room. And so your results are going to be different to ours, and so should they be. Just because we've placed these trades as an example of how you would use the methodology does not mean that these are trades people should be placing and copying if it doesn't fit your trade plan. What I mean by that is that if you are a swing trader and you watch somebody place a day trade, don't place it because you're not a day trader. You would have decided you're a swing trader for certain reasons. Don't compromise that to simply copy somebody else's trade, or vice versa. If you're an investor, you shouldn't be placing any of these trades because they're way too short term. If you're a scalper, you won't be placing any of these trades because they're too long term. Just the timeframes alone would be enough to deter some people from taking them, encourage others. So take the trades if you want to that fit your trade plan based on your rules, based on your own understanding of the style of trader that you are and your risk aversion or risk. What's the opposite of aversion? Risk acceptance or risk? There's a word for it. It's escaping my mind, but how comfortable you are with risk, essentially. And then you'd be able to see, okay, I'll filter out the ones that I wouldn't be placing, have a look at the ones that I would, and again, backtest it, do other things. Have a look at, if I were to be placing those kind of parameters on other markets, what would happen? We've not looked at every single market we have possibility for. We're only looking at today is Wednesday, the 22nd of June at 2:53 p.m. British summertime. You might be watching this video in a couple of days' time, or a few hours' time, or a few weeks' time, in which case most of these trades are irrelevant. So my point is, whoever you watch, whoever you follow, don't just copy paste. Learn what they're doing, understand what's behind it. Yes, track their trades if you want, but understand the different variables that are going into those trades. And so you might come and look at these same trades in a couple of days and look at it and say, oh, actually the EMA is no longer lining up, so I wouldn't be placing those trades. And that's something we'll address here as well. We'll put in the notes, EMA no longer lined up, so we cancelled it or whatever. So you can track how we do that as well. But allow this to be a template. Allow this to be a guide for your own trade plan, as opposed to a copy paste. Last thing you want to do is be copying and pasting people's trades that don't fit your trade plan and lose money or make money, actually, because it will be based off of luck. Because this is not following a set trade plan, because we're showing you different examples from different timeframes, different markets, and different applications. Same methodology though. So hopefully the explanation of the methodology as we've gone through, thick blue dot or thick red dot, UFO coinciding with an EMA, brilliant, we'll place the trade. Target is 1-to-1 away. Other target is based off of the next set of buyers or sellers. That's the same every time. But the way it's applied to which markets, which timeframes, which levels of wiggle room, etc., that's up to you guys to decide. If you have questions on that or you want to explore what that means further for you, you can email me, becky@tradictive.com. You can, if you want to, through this link, tradewithufos.com/Becky. You could book one-on-one coaching with me if you'd like to. Otherwise, there are the apps from here, courses you can check out that will help and break it down step by step. Coaching, just group coaching, live trading and tracking when our live trading sessions will be, and login areas as well. And if you scroll to the bottom of this page, there's a question and answer section. Hopefully, the question you have, somebody else has asked and the answer is there. Or perhaps you've got a new question and you'll be doing somebody else that favor by posting a question here. So I think that brings us to a good place to wrap up. So I will wish you guys a great rest of your trading week ahead. I will see you very soon. Let me know if you need anything and take care. Bye-bye.